Canberra has been accused of being soft on criminals. For over a decade, not one person was convicted of murder, with charges being downgraded to manslaughter. The public perception has been that judges have been too lenient, or that the DPP has failed to mount the prosecution case. 2 recent murder convictions have been the exception, although a possible indication that attitudes and approaches are changing. In a rare interview, the Director of Public Prosecutions takes the stand.
You took over the job in 2008, just after the resignation of a bunch of prosecutors. Was that a difficult environment to enter into?
It was a very interesting time to come into the job. I think the office had drifted along for a while because it had been some time since the previous director had left, and people were very happy, I think, to see the appointment of a new director who brought some new ideas and a new direction to the office.
How difficult is it to attract and retain young lawyers?
Look, it's a very interesting job, and it's not for the faint-hearted. And certainly if you don't really enjoy going to court and getting on your feet, you're not going to last as a prosecutor in this territory. Retention is an issue with us, as it is, I think, to a certain extent with a lot of departments in Canberra. One thing that I've been very keen on is to try to improve our performance in court, and that of course has a lot of aspects to it. That involves internal training and so on, but also just the attitude that we bring to the task of prosecuting.
Is that a weakness of your staff?
Well, it's not a weakness. In fact, our staff are, I think, very willing to put themselves on the line, and they do that every day.
Questions have been raised in recent months in terms of justice issues in the ACT regarding sentencing, conviction rates. Is Canberra soft on crime? Well,
I think being a prosecutor in Canberra is generally considered to be a fairly difficult gig. When I discuss with my colleagues in the state, that's generally the conclusion that we come to. But having said that, the criminal justice system really reflects the community and the community values, and that's entirely appropriate.
A lot has been said about the fact that from 1998 through until just a few months ago, there had been no murder convictions in the ACT. What was going on in that period?
I, of course, wasn't DPP for most of that period. Look, it's very difficult to explain in a few sentences very complex cases. But I have to say that I'm very glad that we've now secured a couple of convictions, if for no other reason than that it gets that issue behind us. I think that issue was a distraction not just for my office, but I think for criminal justice in the territory.
Well, it is part of Canberra folklore that for a long time people would say that you could literally get away with murder in the ACT.
Well, we were putting the cases up. They were cases that were well investigated. They were adequately resourced, and they were well presented.
Well, I think it is fair to say the public confidence has been rattled. You go back to some high-profile cases over the past decade or so, even back to the Anu Singh matter. We've had the Stephen Wayne Hillier, the Glenn Porritt matters, the Clea Rose hit-and-run incident. The public confidence has been sort of rattled, hasn't it?
Well, look, I can't really comment on that, and I don't want to comment on individual cases for fairly obvious reasons. It's unfair to people involved on both sides of the equation. It's very important that the community feels engaged with the criminal justice system. So that's not a bad thing at all, although, of course, not all of the discussion will be on the money, not all of it will be well informed, and from the inside, one often sees commentary that is, quite frankly, quite ill-informed. And as DPP, I have limited ability to probably reply to a lot of that.
There have been 2 recent murder convictions after almost 13 years without one. What has changed?
Look, I can't say that anything's changed. We've had a number of cases that we've put up. There have been great investigative efforts in most cases, meticulously investigated cases. Some succeed, some don't succeed. That's part of the deal.
there has been a push away from judge-only trials to more jury-based trials. Is that a concession that the system as it was not working as effectively as it should?
I think the issue with judge-alone trials is really that we do need more community engagement in the criminal process. And the jury trial is a terrific way in which the ordinary members of the community can be engaged and feel engaged in the criminal process. Juries bring to criminal deliberations common sense and experience of life and community standards, community expectations, and those are invaluable assets. There's no doubt that the rate of judge-alone trials is higher in the ACT than it is just about anywhere else. And I think there is a general feeling that there was a bit of an imbalance towards judge-alone trials, and there's a need to correct that.
Your predecessor, Richard Refshaugi, sparked some debate when he openly criticised the judiciary at times. Do you think it's part of your role to challenge the judiciary at occasions where you feel it's appropriate?
From time to time, we may feel that we're not treated with perhaps the degree of respect to which we feel that we're entitled, and it's incumbent upon us to raise those issues, and we would do that, not publicly, but raise it in appropriate forums, and raise it particularly in the court forum. So I don't think I'm here to run a commentary about the performance of particular judicial officers or other people within the criminal justice system. Anything that we have to say can be said in court.
John White was talking to Chris Kimball, who will be back in this chair next week.